According to the legend, when Magellan comes to Patagonia, he sees very big footprints. The natives living in Patagonia, which are called Tehuelches or Aoniken, they are actually much bigger people than Europeans are. Spaniards back then were only about 160, and the Tehuelches were much bigger people. And he calls it Patagonia because Patagon is a big foot in Spanish, but it's not really true because in Spanish it would be Paton. Another legend in the Middle Ages called Pygmalion, and the evil character in the story is Patagon, so it is more likely that he called Patagonia after this evil character. About 10 years ago or so, I was traveling in this area, and I was actually sort of like a gypsy. I was traveling from one country to another. While I was in Chile, I really liked the area, and then I just couldn't leave Patagonia. It's been more than 12 years actually, almost 13 years now. And no, I didn't think I was gonna stay this long. And actually I went back to Turkey last year and I realized I still miss Patagonia, and that's why I came back.
In coming to Patagonia, I expected beautiful scenery, I expected, a lot of adventure and excitement, but other than that, I was kind of along for the ride with a big adventure of a lifetime with my family.
My mother, who I told about this trip, said, "Why would you want to go there?" Because her image of Patagonia was the Pampas, and that was it. And I said, no, there's mountains, and there's glaciers, and there's rivers, and it's really quite dramatic landscape.
Condor trip is quite an active trip. We go to a lot of different places in Patagonia. We do a lot of hiking, we do biking, we paddle, we get on the glaciers.
Quintessential Patagonia are these spectacular landscapes and viewpoints that seem to come out of nowhere. You're hiking along and you kind of get lost in the physical aspect of it, and then you turn to your right and there's this amazing mountain skyline, and you turn to your left and there's this beautiful lake of this crazy blue that you haven't seen before, even though you've already seen 17 other lakes along the way, and they're all different. I was here with my husband David, my mom and dad, and then my brother and sister-in-law. I think when you're on an adventure like this with other people that are closer to you, it's a great way to get to know that person in a whole new way. I mean, this is my mother. I've known her my entire life, and I see things and I'm proud of things and all of that I never would have gotten if we'd just been hanging out at my house in Tennessee.
You'll notice my wife is not here. She's back in Virginia. She once told me very early in our relationship, before we even got married, that her definition of roughing it is a black and white TV in a motel room. The deal we have is that every other year I get to go trekking, wandering off, and every other year we take a vacation together. I come from a personal history of a lot of backpacking. Until I went with active adventure trips, I had never gone on guided trips. It's probably at the right time of my life to transition to this kind of hiking, because it's just as strenuous, but I have a few more creature comforts. Part of the reason I was a solo backpacker is because it was tough finding people to backpack with. Having the opportunity to hike with other people and engage in conversation and find out about their lives. Fascinating group of people from 3 continents.
When you come on a group trip, you actually have that 2 weeks to establish a relationship with people from different cultures and different backgrounds. So it's not just 1 hour conversation at dinner, it's 2 weeks of sometimes living in pretty close quarters on a bunk just right above somebody else, really getting to know their background and their perspectives and their story.
As it can happen in Patagonia, you can have any kind of weather. Some people get really lucky and they get good weather for 10 days. And I think having all kinds of different weather is part of the experience.
Patagonian weather. How to prepare for Patagonian weather. Basically bring everything. They really weren't lying when they say you'll have 4 seasons in a day, and we experienced that day 1.
Many places with high mountains you'll see that, but over here it's not the high mountains. It's what we call the southern cone, the tip of the continent in between 2 big oceans. There's a lot of weather movement, and that's why it changes very often. It's not easy to do a hike in winds that are 100, 120 kilometers.
Leaning into this wind that what seemed like a 45-degree angle with a pack on my back, having to close my eyes because of the dust that was getting kicked into it, and just struggling to advance step by step against this just torrent of wind. It was amazing.
Patagonia, I think, is a place that if you want to appreciate it, you have to go up those climbs and get those views because you're not going to see them any other way.
When I got to that overlook and saw that landscape, I knew exactly why we had worked as hard as we did to get there. I was just really proud of myself for both mentally and physically getting to that point.
Being in the mountains and hearing what I thought was thunder and realizing that was an ice sheet cascading off the mountain, that was something I had never experienced before, and that certainly creates a memory.
2 times in particular that I was close to giving up, but the guides helped me through it, encouraged me, and it was worth every hard step to get there.
Just as long as my body holds out, I'll keep doing it. You know, that's the question. You know, I'll be 69 next month. I'm glad it's holding up this long.
I think I would want to keep living in South America, build new trips for active, do new programs, and I'm happy to be a guide, and I think I'll be a guide all my life. It's not a stressful job. It's easy. It keeps you young, and I love outdoor tourism. Yeah, I'll keep doing it for as long as I can. The condors are the biggest scavengers on Earth. They have a wingspan of 10 feet or 3 meters. The condor is a very sacred animal, especially in Quechua and Aymara cultures from northern Chile, Bolivia, and Peru. The reason is because the condors eat dead animals and dead people. So the natives believe condor is the animal that takes your soul from this world to the other world.